Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of theology's most profound questions. What is the ultimate fate of humanity? We're going to explore a really fascinating interpretation of ancient texts, one known as the restoration of all things. And trust me, it challenges a lot of common ideas about the afterlife.
So where do we even begin? Well, our investigation starts with a question that was being asked nearly 2,000 years ago. The Apostle Paul is quoting the skeptics of his time, but it's the same mystery we're trying to unpack today. What really happens after we die, and maybe more importantly, what kind of body do we get? This is our starting point. All right, the very first clue in this whole mystery lies in understanding the nature of the resurrected body itself. And the main example we have to look at is Jesus after his resurrection. And as you're about to see, it's probably not what you're picturing. So picture this. Jesus appears to his disciples, and they're terrified. They think they're seeing a ghost, a spirit, but he makes a really critical point here. He says, look, a spirit doesn't have flesh and bones like I do. This is our first major piece of evidence. The resurrected form is real, it's tangible. And this is where things get really fascinating. This new body had qualities that seemed to totally contradict each other. On one hand, it was physical. I mean, it could be touched. It ate food. It even had the marks of its wounds. But on the other hand, it could walk right through solid walls and just vanish into thin air. This tells us it's not just a resuscitated corpse. It's something totally new, something that exists in both the physical world and, well, some other dimension. This all leads to a really important distinction between two types of bodies. On the left, you have what this text calls the soulish body. That's us, right now. It's defined by flesh and blood, and that makes it mortal. But on the right, you have this spiritual body. Notice the difference? It's flesh and bones. It's immortal, and it can move between dimensions. This is a huge deal, because ancient texts often tie our life force, or soul, to the blood. This new body seems to operate on a whole different system. And look, this isn't some new age idea. It comes straight from the original Greek. Paul uses the word psychios for our natural soulish body, and he uses pneumatikos for the resurrected spiritual body. So the big takeaway here is that it's still a body. It's not a ghost. It's just animated by a different power source, the spirit, instead of the soul. Okay, so this new spiritual body is the ultimate goal. Simple enough, right? Well, here's the plot twist. According to this interpretation, this amazing transformation doesn't just happen to everyone all at once. Nope. It's actually part of a massive, unfolding plan that happens in different stages. This whole idea hinges on a really powerful parallel. Just like death came to absolutely everyone through Adam, this new life will come to absolutely everyone through Christ. But you gotta pay attention to that last little phrase, but each in his own order. That's a huge clue that we're talking about a sequence, a divinely organized process. Now, the original Greek word for order there is tagma. It's a military term, kind of like a squadron or a division. And this interpretation uses this incredible harvest metaphor to explain the three phases. First up, you have the barley harvest. Those are the first fruits, a special early group. Then comes the much bigger wheat harvest, for those who are resurrected at Christ's coming. And finally, you have the grape harvest, which lines up with the final judgment and the restoration of everybody else. So this staggered plan, these three squadrons, it's all building up to the real heart of the matter, the central revelation of this whole thing. We've talked about the how and the when of the resurrection, but now we have to tackle the who. What does it really mean when these texts say that all will be made alive? So let's think about this logically. The argument goes like this. If one man's action, Adam's fall, had a universal, inescapable consequence for every single human being, then for the parallel to work, doesn't Christ's action have to have an equally universal and inescapable effect? And right here, this is the verse that supporters of this view say is the bedrock of the whole thing. Paul's letter to the Romans just lays it out there. Just as one mistake led to condemnation for all, one act of righteousness leads to justification and life for, you guessed it, all. And you can really see the perfect symmetry on this slide. The scope is presented as being exactly the same. The all who were condemned because of Adam are the very same all who receive this gift of justification through Christ. It's not a partial fix, it's a total cosmic reversal of what went wrong. And Jesus himself seems to reinforce this idea of a universal scope. The interpretation here focuses on that word draw. The original Greek word is helkio, which is a really strong verb. It means to drag or to compel.
It suggests a divine will that is so powerful, it will eventually succeed in bringing everyone back into alignment.
So, if this multi-stage plan is for everyone, what's the endgame? What is the final, ultimate resolution to this entire cosmic story?
Well, in this way of thinking, judgment isn't about endless punishment. It's actually corrective. Ideas like the lake of fire are seen more as metaphors for a period of intense purification, a time for teaching and correction. It's a process where everything that is wrong is made right, because the ultimate goal is always restoration. So after all the other opposing forces and authorities have been brought into alignment, there's one final enemy left. And this verse says it plainly. Even death itself, the thing we fear most, will eventually be completely abolished, just wiped out of creation. And this is how it all wraps up, step by step. First, all opposing rule and authority are put into subjection. Then, all enemies are dealt with. Finally, death itself, the last enemy, is completely destroyed. And the final outcome? A totally restored, perfected creation is handed over to the Father.
Now, to really drive this home, this interpretation points to another specific Greek phrase that Paul uses, tapanta. It literally means the all. The argument is that we're not just talking about saving humanity here. We're talking about reconciling the totality of the created universe, everything you can see and everything you can't. And this passage from Colossians just makes that purpose crystal clear. It says it was the Father's good pleasure to reconcile all things, there's that phrase again, ta panta, to himself. And the scope is laid right out for us. Everything on earth and everything in heaven.
And this is the final sentence. This is the ultimate conclusion of the entire cosmic process, the end state of the universe. It's not God in some people or in some things. It's a reality where the divine presence, the divine life, and divine love fills everything and everyone completely and without a single exception. So we left with this question to ponder. If this interpretation of the texts is correct, how does that completely reshape our understanding of things like judgment? And more than that, what does it tell us about the nature of a divine love so powerful that in the end it succeeds in losing absolutely nothing?